The Cowboys OT is brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and by blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
30-10 in week 2 of the 2023 season. The Dallas Cowboys take down the New York Jets. Their first win over the Jets since 2007, and they do so in dominating fashion again, setting the tone on the defensive side of the football with 4 takeaways, 3 sacks, and we welcome you into Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco. The Cowboys start the 2023 campaign at a perfect 2-0. Welcome in to the Globe Life Studios alongside Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Breaking down this Cowboys win over the next hour. We'll give you in-depth analysis, and we'll go out to AT&T Stadium with exclusive interviews and post-game reaction from Arlington. But Barry, we'll start things off. Just initial thoughts. I mean, the Cowboys were dominant with a 40-0 win in week 1. That momentum continued here.
You're right. The momentum did continue. And I'm going to just go straight to the defensive side of the football. When you look at it, this defense seems to be unstoppable, especially when you talk about that defensive line and the waves upon waves of pass rushers they can throw at you. Micah Parsons, a complete dog. We understand that. D-Law doing what he got to do against the run. When those guys take a break, the offensive line, they think they got a chance to take a breath. No, here comes Sam Williams. Here comes Dante Fowler. When they need a break, here comes Dorrance Armstrong. When you got those waves like that, it makes it almost impossible for offensive linemen to get a break and block it up. And then you look at it. To me, the most impressive part about that defensive performance, I've never seen it before. 1 of 10 on third down. I mean, there's no better way to do it on third down. That's the money down. That's what gets your defense off of the football field and get your offense the football back. This defense right now, they're clicking on all cylinders.
And I agree 100%. But what enabled that to be like that is that the offense had 41 minutes of time of possession. When your offensive coordinator gets out of the way, which would happen to be the head coach, gets out of the way and let your defense do the things they can do. This thing was led by Micah Parsons once again with the little, we talked about it in the pregame, how he's do the little arm over, and how he get back inside a little crossover like Isaiah like to call it. He did that several times, and it works every time because he is so explosive. He got 2 sacks, man, and forced a whole lot of wreckage out there.
He did.
44 rush attempts, 38 pass attempts, 81 plays on offense. 0 turnovers. Dak Prescott threw no interceptions. Everybody was talking about last year, Dak has so many interceptions. Oh, the probability is going to be bad for him. Listen here, this dude had 31 for 38, 81% completion rate, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. When you're that effective on offense and you can hold the ball for 42 minutes out of the 60 in the game, yeah, that's the recipe for success.
It was a recipe for success. Plus, getting off to a quick start helped out again. Cowboys were up 16-0 really before things got unraveled in New York. They tried to do the same thing this week against the Jets. As we take a look at how this one unfolded from AT&T Stadium, the Cowboys looking for their first win over the Jets since 2007. The opening drive for Dallas against, of course, Dak Prescott, Zach Wilson. It wasn't perfect, but it was effective. Just like this scramble from Dak Prescott to set up 1st and goal inside the 5 before he's tumbled. 3 plays later, Dak Prescott steps right back up, and he finds Jake Ferguson to take a 7-0 lead. Isaiah.
He does a good job just scanning the field. You see him working his possession, working all the way across the field, gets it into the hands of Ferguson, and then Ferguson does a great throw. Puts his foot in the ground, gets vertical, gets 6 points.
Dak completed his first 13 pass attempts. It was the longest such streak in Prescott's career. He was effective early on. Dallas then had to rely on Brandon Aubrey after stalling out in the red zone a couple times. They led after this one 10-0 after a jet stop. Zach Wilson finally connects. This time it was Garrett Wilson beats Stephon Gilmore, beats Malik Hooker, takes it 68 yards to the house, Nate.
Man, that was just a nice deep open, one of the few passes that Zach Wilson completed that was nice, and this is the results of it.
Longest touchdown reception of Wilson's young career, 10-7 Dallas. Dallas would respond with another drive, and it does help with some Jets penalties. A pass interference on Jalen Tolbert in the back of the end zone gave Dallas the ball at the 1 after a fake toss. Left side, Luke Schoonmaker was open, Isaiah.
You finally get to hear the name Schoon as they go ahead and run a nice little play action. You see him leaking out on the backside there, gets a nice little catch. Touchdown all day long.
I like his number 86 too. I know somebody who wore 86 back in the day. Dak Prescott loving it despite some of the pressure. The Jets would finish the first half with a field goal. It was 18-10 Dallas after that Schoonmaker pitch and catch. Dallas went for 2 and got it. Up by 8 at the break. The third quarter was full of defense, and where there's defense, there's usually Micah Parsons. He gets in there, rips the football away from Dalvin Cook, and he returns it for what seemingly was a touchdown. They did call it back, said he was down by contact, but again, Parsons with a massive effect.
Yeah, the young lion was hunting all afternoon. Once again, making great plays right there with the awareness to pick it up. Should have been a scoop and score, but you see that offensive lineman, his left leg kind of nipped him a little bit. Good job for the defense.
The strip and recovery leads to this 55-yard field goal from Brandon Aubrey. It would have been good from Plano for the Plano, Texas native. 24-10 Dallas into the fourth. The defense didn't let up. Micah Parsons pressuring Zach Wilson outright, throws it right to J-Ron Kearse. Kearse's first interception of the year. Second turnover forced by Dallas.
Once again, the young lion was hunting, caused an error throw right there, right into the mittens of J-Ron Kearse right there. He did his best Tony Pollard impression, shaking those guys up. I love the return skills. He didn't just go down right there. Look at Dan Quinn, super excited about the whole thing. I mean, he's doing a great job coaching his defense. The mad scientist back at it again.
These stops would lead to 2 more Aubrey's field goals, so that was 5 of 5. The defense wasn't done, though. Here comes Malik Hooker with the interception on the deep ball, aiming for Garrett Wilson. Hooker's there to make the interception, and that wasn't it either. Third takeaway, equaling last week's output. Not so fast. How about upping it by 1 more? Wilson to Trayvon Diggs. Diggs, who's just been a ball magnet since the 2021 season, gets another one, and the Dallas Cowboys close out a 30-10 final score from AT&T Stadium as they blank the Jets in the second half. It looked like New York had a little bit of momentum going into the break. That momentum didn't turn into much as the Cowboys win this one by 20. When we come back here on Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco, we hear from head coach Mike McCarthy on his post-game reaction and his first 2-0 start as the Cowboys head coach.
This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys win this one 30-10 over the New York Jets. Back here with Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Let's go back down to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, where Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy takes the podium.
Can you talk about the efficiency of your offensive effort and just your playmaking ability on defense tonight, kind of what that meant?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think just like anything, when start of the week, you're playing an uncommon opponent, but it's a group that we've had a chance to watch through the whole off season, and just had a tremendous amount of respect for their defense. Obviously, went through a quarterback change, and we felt going in that we needed to control the ball, go a long way with efficiency, and and the guys did a great job executing the plan. I think we're plus 20 or 20 minutes time possession at halftime, but obviously the score was 18-10. And I think our defense just opened it up clearly with the 4 takeaways. So plus 4. Took good care of the ball. We had a lot going on with our offensive line, but that's that's complementary football. That was the outlook going in, and our players did an excellent job.
So at least upon preliminary research here, guys, 42-15. That was what the Cowboys finished with in terms of time of possession. 42 minutes, 15 seconds. That's the 4th highest in any single game in Cowboys franchise history. So, I mean, you're dominant in time of possession against a team like the New York Jets that, at least game plan-wise, you expected to come in and want to control time of possession. But, Barry, it was the Dallas offense that laid down their framework early, laid down the foundation, and took advantage of it.
Yeah, I got to get a lot of credit to Coach McCarthy out there. I feel like each and every year he's been here with the Dallas Cowboys, his teams have improved. I mean, early on in that 2020 season, it was a little rough. But since then, he's improved in each and every category. You look at it early on, and a couple years ago, it was the penalties. That was a big thing for the Dallas Cowboys offense out there. He's cleaned those up. That last year it was, we got all these stats. We're the number 1 offense out there, but situationally it wasn't where it needed to be. I mean, they were passing the ball a lot, not running the ball, not giving their defense time to rest. Mike McCarthy out here, he's gotten this formula right offensively. He knows he's playing with a great defense over there, and he's playing into his defense, letting them understand that, look, you guys are the strength of this team. We're only going to go as far as you take us, and we're going to take control of this offensively, take care of the football, and make sure we don't mess it up for you. And he's doing a great job of that. His team is playing on all cylinders, and he's getting the most out of each and every one of his players.
Everything that BC just said is absolutely correct. This is about complementary football, all three phases. You normally hear about the offense, you normally hear about the defense, but the special teams has a role to play as well. Obviously, they found their way to getting the kicker. He's doing his job, taking care of business there. Offensively, what are we talking about? Playing keep away, keeping the ball on the ground, right? When you do put the ball in the air, make sure that they're high, efficient passes. 31 for 38. It's 81% passing percentage, right? That's pretty doggone highly efficient to me. You look on the defense side of the ball, you're now leading the NFL with +7 turnover margin. This is how you play complementary ball. Last week, there was question marks. Is it the Giants, or were they just that bad, or was Dallas just that good? Well, I think you have your answer now.
And by the way, out of the 19 times in franchise history the Cowboys have controlled time of possession above 40 minutes, they are 17-2 in those 19 games. You usually win time of possession, at least at that juncture, at that big of a margin. You're going to win a lot of football games. That's kind of what this West Coast offense, what the Texas Coast offense is meant to be for Mike McCarthy, but it also helps your defense stay fresh, and you saw that a little bit because Micah Parsons was able to run around the way he did.
Oh, yeah, this defense, we all understand, it's led by Micah Parsons and what he's able to do. I mean, he opens up so much more for all the other players out there. Not saying those guys couldn't do it themselves, but Parsons gets so much attention from the offense, double, triple teams out there. And what's good for this defense is the rest of those guys are able to take advantage of their one-on-ones, because if they were stalemated out there, it wouldn't matter how good Parsons was out there. He wouldn't be able to get anything done. But the other players out there, their surrounding cast, are taking advantage of their one-on-ones. And when the plays needs to be made, whether it's an interception, forced fumble, quarterback pressure, these guys are making it. And that goes kudos to Dan Quinn, because he's getting the most out of his players as well.
Barry, back when you was playing.
Yes, sir.
If the coach told you before the game started, hey, Barry, guess what? There's only going to be 41 plays that you have to be on the field for. What would you say?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited.
The New York Jets had 41 offensive plays. That is all. That's all they had.
That's it?
That is all. So when you take this defense with all these dogs and all these playmakers and everybody wants to eat and they only have to play 41 total snaps, that means that most guys are probably getting anywhere from 10 to 15 snaps depending on your position group. You have nothing to do but go out there and give it 100% and run your head into a wall. And that's exactly what they did, except for this wall was green.
It definitely was. Completely was. It was dominant in terms of time of possession, not a sexy stat. It will never be one of those right up at the top, but it is an effective one. And that's what the Cowboys were here in week 2. When we come back on Cowboys OT, we go one-on-one in the Cowboys locker room with Trayvon Diggs. Had another pick. Well, he's had a lot of those since the start of the 2021 season. We'll be right back right after this.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
In the final scores, the Dallas Cowboys take down the New York Giants, and we welcome you back into Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco. I'm Kyle Yeomans, now joined by one of our players of the game, Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon, you got the interception that you've been waiting for to start the season. Great start for the defense overall. Take us through that play and take us through the win against the Jets.
As far as the play, it was a little disguise I had put in. And just I seen him trying to throw it to the flat, and then I just had jumped the route. It was a great win. Defense had a great day. Offense was executing. Everyone was executing. So that's how we was able to sustain, and come up on top and hold in the 10 points.
We've talked a lot about complementary football, but it's not just between the three phases, offense, defense, special teams. It feels like the defense is feeding off of each other and off of that energy, playing complementary football together. What's it been like playing with that unit through these first 2 weeks and executing the way that you guys have?
It's been good. We've been pushing it, going hard every day throughout training camp, every day in practice, in the meeting rooms. So, everything's just coming together how it's supposed to. Just see pure execution on the field, and, it's showing.
How does this defense compare to the defense that you played in last year with the Cowboys? What is the difference, at least through the first 2 weeks that you've seen?
Still elite, just a little bit better this year. It's all about getting better each and every year. So I feel like, last year we was elite, and I feel like this year, we're unstoppable.
So you talk about getting better every week. What's one area that you feel like this defense can improve upon going into week 3 against Arizona?
It's always something to improve upon. You know, we got to look at the film, check the tape, see what we did good, see what we did bad, and just, you know, work on everything during practice, you know, just to get to where we're trying to go to.
Been one guy on that defensive side of the ball that's been a little bit under the radar that we may not get the storylines for, but has still been doing a phenomenal job.
I feel like the whole defense is playing good. Our front is elite. You know, they're going crazy up front, helping us out in the back end. I feel like, you know, everyone's doing their job, everyone's executing. So, you know, it's a long season. You know, I feel like everyone, you know, who's doing what they're supposed to, you know, is going to, you know, do what they're supposed to and just help us win and, you know, get to where we're trying to go.
Now, last week you gave the interception ball to Aiden. That was such a phenomenal moment. Of course, it was all over the national media. Where'd you take the interception this time? Did you give it to somebody special?
I accidentally threw it in the stands.
Accidentally, or was it just a celebration side of things?
It was my adrenaline was rushing and I just went for it.
That's awesome. Trayvon Diggs joining us here on Cowboys OT. Trayvon, congratulations on the win. Keep this thing rolling. We'll see you next week against Arizona.
Thank you.
There he goes. And more post-game reaction, of course, coming from the Cowboys locker room at AT&T Stadium after a 30-10 win over the New York Jets. We'll be back with more Cowboys OT right after this. Cowboys win this one 30-10 over the New York Jets as we welcome you back into Cowboys OT with Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, and Kyle Yeomans. Dallas pulls the New York. It's a different meaning, their lone little Dallas spin on it by defeating the Giants and the Jets by a combined 70-10 in the first 2 weeks of the regular season. Here's what the stats said in week 2 for their 30-10 win over New York. And overall, the stats, well, they don't look much different than they did last week, just more offensive yards for the most part. 382 total yards for that offensive side of the ball that was driving especially well up until really they got to the red zone. If you had one knock against the offense, Barry, it's probably the fact that they didn't finish off drives, but they still set it up for points.
Yeah, they did a great job overall. I mean, you would like to see them punch it into the end zone a couple of those times when they were in there, but the kicker, Aubrey, I'm pronouncing his name right.
Oh, yeah.
Aubrey, he was able to finish the deal right there. But when you look at it, I mean, this offense, it was a complete balanced attack. Isaiah, what did you say, 38 passes, 44 runs? Yep. I mean, that's complete balance. We all understand that's when this offense is at its best. That's when this offense is clicking on all cylinders, when they can attack you with a balanced approach. Dak Prescott did a great job taking care of the football. He got close to one. He almost gave Sauce one, but other than that, he did a great job. He was cool, calm, and collected the entire afternoon. This was a great victory for the Dallas Cowboys, and the offense continues to get better and better each week.
Yeah, Tony Pollard just solidly had 25 carries for 72 yards, 2.9 average. But part of this 44-yard attempt that the offense had, he had 7 catches, so altogether he had 32 touches. I would like for that to be around about 22 per game, you know, trying to preserve his body because he's very explosive when you keep him under 25. But with this new offense, this West Coast or what Texas y'all,
Coast.
Texas toast or French bread or whatever y'all call it, he going to touch it a lot. So, hey, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm. I think the only thing, if we're nitpicking at this point, right, if there had to be something that I did not like, it was the number of pass attempts. I don't like Dak throwing the ball 38 times. That's Kellen Moore era. I think Mike McCarthy era, you want to see him 25 or under. But when you're throwing 81% completion rate, I can't sit up here and complain. Finish off the drives, make sure that you're scoring in the red zone, and try to keep the penalties down. I think they crept up to about 6 penalties today. Want to keep that down so that doesn't get out of hand.
Definitely didn't let it get out of hand because the time of possession was just so one way in favor of Dallas. Let's take a look at the up front, the offensive line. No Tyler Smith. Chuma Edoga goes down in the first half. TJ Bass has to play the rest of the game. Isaiah, what did you think about the front five and what they did protecting for Dak Prescott? It wasn't always pretty, but it got the job done.
You know, it's not a pretty part of the game. You know, I mean, that part, you know, the big nasty, the big Nate Dogg and them, you know, it gets Rashi in there. But at the end of the day, they did their job, right? Dak Prescott wasn't on his back. He didn't feel pressured. He had time to sit back and throw with confidence, obviously throwing for 81% completion rate. You know, I think TJ Bass came in and did a good job fulfilling his role there. He had some rookie-ish mistakes. Tyler Biadasz continues to find his struggles with some of these bull rush type defensive linemen who are just bigger than him. But overall, they worked well as a unit and mission complete.
I tell you like this here, it was ugly for the offensive line, but they battled And that's what you ask for. You ask for 5 guys to come up there and play as one unit, and they fought. And we talked about in pregame about the leverage, the positional leverage, the physical leverage. A lot of times it wasn't going in their favor. Our right tackle kind of struggled. We had the young guy, Bass, come in. They kind of struggled. But what they did is they played through the pain. They played through the ups and downs. And one thing, Dak got rid of the ball. That made it so much easier because when you looked up, you maybe was getting a little trucked a little bit, but the quarterback had got rid of the ball.
Yeah, you're 1,000% right, Nate. And when you look at it, this is the type of offensive line you want to go to war with because these guys are going to fight and scratch and claw to the very last play. They had some injuries out there, and they were going against an awesome front. I mean, we looked at, Quinnen Williams and those boys. Those are some elite players on the defensive line, but these guys scratched, clawed, and fought to the very end. The Dak Prescott wasn't on his back like that, but Tony Pollard was able to get those lanes. And it was because of the offensive line going against those dogs on a New York Jets side. So to me, I would love to go to war with those guys each and every down.
Now, I asked this question last week as well in the 40-0 win over the Giants, but what was the most impressive part of the defensive front or the defense in general? I mean, secondary, front seven, linebackers, they all played well. Which one impressed you the most?
I got to go D-line. I mean, because once again, those guys are just eating. They're eating on everybody. Micah Parsons is opening up one-on-ones for everybody, and they're taking advantage of that. The secondary and the second level with Van Der Esch and Damone Clark, they were awesome as well. But it all starts with that defensive line, and they got to start it early and often this afternoon.
You said it all. I mean, Isaiah, you next.
What do they call it? A charcuterie board?
Yeah,
charcuterie board.
Yeah, everybody, a couple different meats, cheeses.
When we go to Barry's house, Barry got a nice crib.
He's got the wine bottles open.
Board. Everybody goes out there and grabs some cheese. You grab some cheese, you grab some grapes, and that's what this Dallas defense is absolutely doing right now. And Micah Parsons is the man that is causing havoc. He's going back there and making things happen. This defensive line is causing issues, whether it be the running backs getting caught in the backfield, whether it be quarterbacks being forced out the pocket. Either way, bad things are happening for opposing offenses. That's why Dallas is leading the league in takeaways, +7 right now. And whenever the ball comes out the quarterback's hands, there's usually going to be a good opportunity for Dallas to come down with it.
Man, it's really been fun to watch this defense play because it is. They all feed off of each other. You heard Trayvon Diggs talk about it. It's just like last year's defense, but just a little bit better this time around. And you can kind of see that. The way they stopped the run was certainly better as well. That was really impressive all the way through. When we come back, we'll hear from the leader on that defensive side of the football, Micah Parsons, with 2 sacks today. The pressures, again, were off the charts. We hear from the Lion when we come back with more Cowboys OT. Two weeks of the NFL season down, 3 sacks for Micah Parsons. He continues to chart pressures easily against opposing offenses. Let's hear from one of the defensive leaders, Parsons, following the 30-10 win over New York.
It feels great. It's always great to go out and get a win, especially in good fashion. The way we know how to play ball. It's kind of expected to where we want to go.
The offense didn't make you guys be on the field very much today. Can you just talk about how that helps you?
Yeah, the efficiency, keeping us fresh, keeping us going. Obviously TP and that run game's looking great in the O-line, so very big kudos to them.
Coming off of last season, one of the main things you wanted to make sure the defense improved upon was finishing games when you get big leads. You did it in New York, you did it here against the Giants. Talk about how important it is to continue to do that going forward.
Yeah, it just means that you're improving. Those little things you talk about, finishing games, closing them out, smothering people, not giving them that hope and dream that they could come back in this game and think they're on the same playing field as us. That's the type of things you want to see, not the constant repetition. That means you're not learning. So I'm very happy where we're at right now.
Sacks feel good, hits feel good, but how does it feel for you when you draw these holding penalties and they got to hold you?
It's worse because that means you're not getting to where you really want to be. But that's part of the game. But I just got to find ways to get off them and still finish the plays.
Take us through the fumble and the recovery, and you thought obviously at the moment it would be a touchdown.
Yeah, obviously, been telling the guys all year, single bag, bunch to your side, whether they motion or how they try to portray and look to it, there's always a 70% chance at crack toss. Instantly read the play, came over top, to see the play. He tried to find a way for me, so I just kind of grabbed the ball because he exposed it. where I grab one and get up, do what I do, and get into the end zone. So, that's kind of how it is. Yeah, I definitely think I still got my running back skills. It's a little rusty. I want to be more fluent in my cutbacks and my jukes, but, we'll take it how we get it.
Jerry talked about how your work ethic is what stands out most to him. How do you kind of, go full out on every single play, and how do you recharge?
Man, I'm just hungry, bro. To me, it don't matter where I am, where I'm at. I'm coming. I don't care if I'm gassed out, my lungs hurt. Mind over matter. I think every time I'm out there, I seize every opportunity. Unlike some guys, man, they take this opportunity for granted. I take this extremely to the heart. This organization changed my life, so I'm just trying to give everything I had back to the fans, to Mr. Jones, and all my teammates.
Mike, you got scored the first two teams on your schedule, 70-10. How much fun is this right now?
It's extremely fun. When you're playing great, balanced football from special teams to offense to defense, it's extremely fun. We're just having so much fun with this group. I think everyone knew this group would be special, and I think people don't realize how special yet, but we're showing it.
Robert Saleh was talking about you before the game. He said that you're one of the most destructive players in the NFL. Let me ask you this. Who's the most destructive player in the NFL?
I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to just let, the people answer that and let me know what y'all think. And just see what I face and what other guys face, and y'all tell me.
I'm going to say you on that.
Only 16 yards between Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. The run defense, how proud of you of that effort?
Extremely proud. I think this offseason we committed to say we're going to make these guys pass the ball. We're going to force them to let us rush. And when we come out and we come down and set the tone saying you won't run on us, and then we go get our sacks, now that's what changes everything. So to all the teams with them game plans, come on, run at me, run at whoever, we coming.
Michael, was that first sack the fastest sack that you had in your career?
No, I think the Atlanta one might have been a little faster from rookie year, but, it was close to it. Once again, I'm going to let the play keep speaking for itself. I ain't going to speak too far in the future. I'm going to worry about now and what's going on right now and continue to get better with my guys and continue to prove why we're going to be one of the most dominant teams in the NFL.
Personally, has Defensive Player of the Year been a goal for you in your career?
When I talk about Defensive Player of the Year, I don't look at the subject of the award. I look at the subject, and when I say I want to be the best player in the NFL, so whatever comes with that, I don't think just qualify myself as just a defensive player. I think I'm a most valuable player.
Michael, what's the headline on the Edge this week?
It might just be week 2, but those are some strong words from Micah Parsons, and he's earned the right to say something like that with Barry Church and Nate Newton. He's played up to that caliber of level through 2 weeks of the season. Yes. There's still 15 games left. Let's not get it twisted. There is a long way to go for him to actually be in that conversation. But at least right now, he's done everything in his power to at least start in the conversation.
Oh, without a doubt. I think he's leading it right now as well. You're talking about that conversation. But there's two things that kind of stuck out to me when he was talking right there. One is that he talked about that forced fumble that he had. And he broke it down. He said when the wide receiver's position at this whatever position is at, 70% of the time it's going to be a crack toss. So that goes to show me he's not just going out there on raw athletic ability. He's a student of the game. He's studying film out there to make these plays. And secondly, he talked about killing the other team's confidence. Last year, there was a couple games, Houston comes to mind, Indianapolis comes to mind, where they played down to the level of the competition. I know it's only a small sample size right now, but we haven't seen them play down to the level of competition. These guys are killing confidence of the teams early and often and dismaying all of that comeback talk.
And 4 tackles, 2 sacks for 12 yards, 4 quarterbacks hits, 3 tackles for losses, 1 pass defense, 1 fumble forced, and 1 fumble recovery. When you do this week in and week out, this guy does this or some form of this week in and week out. He's telling us, like you said earlier, Church, he's telling you, let it speak for itself. Let my play. Let y'all decide. 2 years he's been runner up. He can't keep me running up. He gonna win this thing sooner or later.
Just a reminder, there were 4 players, at least last year, that received first place votes up at the top of the Defensive Player of the Year voting. Micah Parsons was not one of them. Still finished in second, but he did not get a first place vote. Maybe this is one way that he can continue getting in that conversation, is not only his statistics, but the statistics of the defense as a whole. I mean, you come through again with 3 more sacks. You have 5 quarterback hits. They've continued to pressure opposing quarterbacks. Daniel Jones in week 1, Zach Wilson here in week 2. They have not allowed for a whole lot of time to be effective on offense, and it has really suffocated the 2 New York teams in back-to-back weeks to get things started. But when we come back, we talk offense. We got to go to the offensive side of the football. Give some love for CeeDee Lamb, who had 100 yards receiving in the first half alone. We'll hear from CeeDee when we come back on Cowboys OT. For the 3rd time in CeeDee Lamb's career, he has 100 yards receiving in the first half alone. He was effective early for Dak Prescott and company on that offensive side of the football. Let's hear from CeeDee Lamb out at AT&T Stadium.
CeeDee, great game, great victory. You surprised at how many passes you were able to catch this first half?
Not necessarily. This offseason we put in a lot of work, got in a lot of time together, so just coming here and actually letting it, showing the season, I mean, it just proves the offseason work actually translates.
Jets are a great defense. Were you surprised that they didn't have somebody travel with you since you were making so many receptions?
I don't know. I mean, if they do have somebody travel, they're going to be mighty tired because I do a lot of motion. So, but, I mean, whatever their D coordinator decide, we'll be happy with.
How big was this victory for you guys to go 2-0 now and score over 30 points 2 games in a row?
It was always big, man. We week in and week out, we trying to collect, 1-0, and having that mindset of seizing everything and playing together and dominating.
And finally, were you able to show some things you couldn't do in the rain last week in New York?
Nah, just letting it loose every week. Something different. I mean, it's just what happens in a game.
Congratulations.
A couple of big hits on plays popped up real quick. I mean, what were those moments like? And just why was it important for you to make sure everybody knows you're okay in that game?
Man, I've taken a lot of hits in my career throughout playing football, so kind of prepare for that, and that's what comes with playing in a slot. So if you're not tough, it's going to be hard for you to be, pretty good in there.
Those Green Bay teams that are partly called had feature receivers who got the ball to Jordy Nelson and to Greg Jennings. It seems like he's doing that for you too. Do you feel like that's really happening right now for their featuring?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's done a great job of, moving me around. Put me in different spots, motioning me, kind of keeping the defense guessing. You can't really guess on where I'm going to be. And, man, I can run all day, all around the field. So just kind of giving that accessibility to Mike, I feel like, he kind of got an upper hand.
It was just the other day, DeMarcus Lawrence was talking about the fact that ultimately he's sending a message to other teams right now. What's the message that y'all are sending to other teams?
We're here to dominate. We're not necessarily here to play around. And we understand what's at stake week in and week out, and just constantly preparing ourselves, to be the best team that we can be, offense, defense, and special teams. So every week, we come out here and want to be better than last week.
CeeDee, how did it feel to unlock the passing game more? We talked all week.
We had 127 yards in the first half alone. A phenomenal game for CeeDee. Here are the offensive numbers. They look much better than they did last week because the offense really didn't have to do much last week. We've already talked about time of possession, 42 minutes and 15 seconds, the second most out of any regular season game. That doesn't include, of course, the 2 games that were in OT where they had over 42 minutes. But Isaiah, when you look at the way that this offense is built, the West Coast, the Texas toast, whatever you want to call it, we joke about that a lot. It was exactly what Mike McCarthy wanted it to look like today.
Absolutely. I mean, we keep bringing up this word complementary, but that's really what the game of football is when it's done successfully. And when you can run the ball effectively, right? The stat line is not really going to show effectively, but the fact that you can even be in a position to run the ball 44 times lets you know that you're doing something right offensively. And then you can have highly efficient passes by Dak Prescott. That's the difference between last year and this year. Everybody keeps talking about, well, Kellen Moore this versus Mike McCarthy this. Well, this is the difference. Last year, there's a lot of confusion in terms of what the receivers were going to run because of the coverage. Now you have things where they know they're running a slant route or they're running an over route or a dig or whatever the route concept might be, and Dak is able to come up and make decisive decisions in terms of what the defense is presenting and making sure that he throws a good ball.
And reminder, this offensive execution comes with 2 starters out. You don't have your left guard. You actually are on your 3rd string left guard by the end of the game, and you didn't have Brandon Cooks. How big of a game was this for CeeDee to be able to step up without Brandon Cooks on the opposite side.
You know, and he matured last year. That's where it started. He started a little bit slow the first 6 or 7 games. Then he caught fire. And what he's did, he's took it into the summer and he's brought it through training camp. And now he's doing his thing. And the young Tobert, got a spark early to help him help that along.
Yeah, there definitely was a spark for this offense. They were able to move the chains effectively, and they controlled time of possession all the way to a 30-10 win over the New York Jets. When we come back, we talk about the secondary. 3 picks all coming in the second half. Stephon Gilmore didn't have one of those, but he was one of the leaders on that Dallas defense. We hear from the former Defensive Player of the Year next. Stephon Gilmore had an interception in Week 1. He seemingly was the only one without an interception in the Cowboys secondary in their Week 2 win over the New York Jets. I'm Kyle Yeomans back here on Cowboys OT. Let's go back out to AT&T Stadium and hear from Stephon Gilmore following the win against the Jets.
Just got to prove it every week.
You saw through camp what Micah Parsons can do, but to see it in 2 games, I mean, what can you say?
I mean, he's special. You know, like I told y'all before, I never seen nothing like it. We got a lot of depth up there. Those guys get after quarterback pretty good.
Stephon, pretty much you've been in the Super Bowl team, you've seen great defenses. How much further along do you think this team has to go before the Cowboys one most dominant?
I just think we just got to keep proving it. You know, keep proving it every year. I mean, every game. It's only week 2, so we got to just keep doing it. We know what type of defense we got, what type of team we got. But, you know, we just can't talk about it. We got to go out there and prove it.
What was that matchup like for you here?
It's good. You know, he's a good player. He got one catch on me, I think the slant, and you know, he's a good player. It was a fun matchup. Anytime you can go against a guy, you know, that's a challenge. It's always good.
Stephon, sorry if you've been asked this already, but having a guy like Micah up front, what does that do for you guys in the back and how dominant he's been?
I mean, it helps a lot. You know, you sometimes you got to speed the clock up in your head when you got guys up front that can rush the quarterback. So, you know, you just kind of got to fill it out each game, and I'm excited to be on this side of the ball for sure.
It's 2 weeks. The only chatter is this is the best team in the league over the course of these first 2 weeks of the season. What is your thought process on that assertion, and then whether or not this team really is as good as you've looked this far?
Like I said before, we just got to keep proving it. You know, it's only week 2. We know what type of team we got, but we just can't talk about it. We got to just keep proving it every week, you know, and keep stacking wins.
Cowboys keep stacking wins and also stacking turnovers. They have 7 through the first 2 weeks of the regular season, averaged out over an entire 17 games. That's 60 receptions, 60 turnovers, 60 takeaways. That's what the pace is for the Cowboys so far. When we come back, though, on Cowboys OT, we take a look ahead to their Week 3 matchup, see if they can continue that pace on defense.
The Cowboys OT was brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and by blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
All the way up and down the box score, the Dallas Cowboys dominate in Week 2, 30-10. The final score over the New York Jets as the Cowboys have their first 2-0 start to the regular season since 2019. Just 12 first downs allowed, 10% on third down, less than 215 yards total for New York. It was really up and down the stat sheet. The Dallas won this game, and they won it in an efficient manner on all 3 phases. Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. Final thoughts here, wrapping up this win, and how can they carry that into a matchup with Arizona next week?
Well, my final thoughts on this, if we can go forward, I know Micah Parsons said it right. It's only week 2. I mean, there's a lot of season left. But if this defense can just stay consistent in what it's been doing, controlling the trenches, being an opportunistic defense in the secondary, those linebackers coming downhill, the sky's the limit. And then we look at the offensively. They're doing a great job running this West Coast offense. Dak's getting that ball out of his hands fast, and his receivers are making plays once the ball is in their hands. If they can continue to do that, take care of the football, and play into your defense, which we all know is the strength of this team, this Dallas Cowboys team can be pretty special in 2023.
Just add a little bit of red zone. I mean, when they get in that red zone, make sure you're coming away with 7. I mean, if you get in there 5 times, at least score 7, 4 of those times. So if they can do that right there, this team going to be powerful.
Yeah.
And you guys just heard everything that these guys just said. I mean, even though they're being dominant, even though they've scored 70 points, even though they have 7 takeaways, there's still room for improvement. And that's what they're going to be focused on going forward against Arizona. Arizona, better have your head on a swivel.
Well, and that's really the thing that at least is a common theme among the locker room right now is that, hey, this team knows they're good. They're very confident. You can sense that really from the jump. But the other side of it is that they're not perfect and that things aren't perfect yet for especially the offensive side of the ball. It's been close to perfect for the defense, let's be real. But the offensive side, there's a lot to work on. Where do you want to see the most improvement from week 2 to week 3, Isaiah?
I think I want to continue to see this running game continue to be fulfilled. I think that there's still a lot to be desired in that regard. You're seeing a lot of guys being rotated in there, which is awesome. I mean, you have all the way from the starters, right? You obviously have your man TP and Tony Pollard. You have Rico Dowdle. You have Deuce Vaughn. You see Hunter Lipke in there getting some work. And you also have Kevontae Turpin that's been getting worked in. But now what do you do that now Ronald Jones is available? Ooh. What happens to that backfield now? We'll have to see.
You know what? This Jones, you ain't got but a little space, baby. But they got 4 running backs, and because Turpin is in there. So Coach has done this before when he was with Green Bay. Coach McCarthy rotated backs in and multiple backs. But you know what? We got to start finding a rhythm because it's only get tougher. It only gets tougher.
Yeah, you guys are right, 100%. What I'd like to see, this offensive line, they've done a good job these first 2 weeks, but I'd like to see them exert their will just a little bit more, especially when you talk about the run game. I think they've held up pretty well when you talk about the pass game, keeping Dak pretty clean out there. And I'd also like to see a little bit more Michael Gallup. All right, I understand, CeeDee Lamb, he's the guy. He's the number one. He's doing big things. But this was an opportunity today where Cooks, he was out. This was his opportunity to step up and be that kind of 1B to CeeDee Lamb's 1A. And we really didn't see that. It was a quiet afternoon for Michael Gallup out there. I understand he was going against Sauce Gardner and Reed, but they gave you the bag, young man. You got to go out there and get a job done. I believe in you. Let's see what he can do for the rest of the season.
You take some of the early question marks of this season, of training camp and the preseason, and it feels like they're starting to just work their way down the list. Run defense, check. 64 yards allowed today against 2 really, really good running backs. Really like what they did in that category. Special teams, Brandon Aubrey, 5 of 5. First rookie in Cowboys history, or at least in the last 10 years. Dane Bailey kicked 5 field goals as a rookie back in 2011. So it's been a long time since you've seen some efficiency like that. That's what Brandon Aubrey showed today. But Cowboys have another one up next week. 3:25 kickoff against the Arizona Cardinals on the road in Glendale. You can't avoid a letdown. 2-0 versus the 0-2 Cardinals. Got to get the job done there as well. We're done on Cowboys OT for our entire Dallas Cowboys crew. For Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long. The Cowboys win this one 30-10. We'll see you next week from the Star.